So today I'm going book shopping and I thought I would take you along with me and let's see what I get. Shops that I usually go in for books was shut, so it was Sunday and I buy a lot of my books on charity shops and only a few of them were open, so I didn't get to film as much as I wanted to, and I think I ended up buying a book in every shop that I went in. So my first pile here, I got all of these in the Works. The first book I picked up in the Works is The Kiss Quotient. I think this might have been in the 3 for £5 deal, as it didn't have a price tag on it, but I couldn't find any other books in the 3 for £5 deal that I wanted to see if this was part of that deal. This book wasn't particularly high on my list of books that I wanted to buy. However, I've been seeing it everywhere and so many people have been raving about this, and I thought, seeing as it was so cheap, I wasn't going to leave it behind, and it was the only one they had in the shop as well. Then I picked up The Good Girl Complex and I was really excited to see this for only £3. I was going to buy this in Waterstones the other day for full price, so I'm glad I held off and found it here. I love the cover of this one. Again, I've been seeing this a lot on BookTube and I've been really wanting this since it first came out. I've just completely lost my train of thought. If it's not the neighbours making noise outside, I've just taken a phone call and can't remember what I was saying about this book. But yeah, really excited to pick this one up, and I think this might have pushed itself to the top of my TBR, I'm not sure. Then the next book I got in the Works was The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. Again, this was only £3. I know lots of people rave about these authors and I've read one book by them, but I wasn't completely overwhelmed and thought it was a little bit overhyped, but I thought I'd give them another go because this sounded interesting. So I'm hoping I'm really going to enjoy this one. The other one I read by them was, I think, Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. I think that's what it's called. I liked it, just felt it wasn't as great as everyone else said, but the premise of this one sounds really intriguing. So it sounds like there's this new app and it puts people together and says they're soulmates based on their DNA, so I'm excited to see how this one turns out. Then I picked up two books which are part of the same series. They're both by Anna Todd, so I picked up Nothing More and Nothing Less. So these are part of the After series. I've read the first two After books, but I have read them on Wattpad and I haven't actually read the physical books. I don't know how different the physical books are, and I'm currently reading the third After book, again, that is on Wattpad. So I'm thinking of buying the whole collection and rereading them because I'm pretty sure the physical copies of the books are going to be very different to the Wattpad versions. However, I got these two out from the library a few weeks ago and I didn't get around to reading them, and I know these are on Wattpad as well, but I just wanted the physical copies and I wanted to collect the whole of the After books anyway, so I thought I would just pick these two up because I hadn't started them on Wattpad. Then I picked up The Secret to Happiness. This is by Sophie Golding. So this isn't a book that I had ever seen before. However, a lot of the books were reduced yesterday and I really had to rein myself in from spending a lot of money. But I want to read more kind of non-fiction and self-help books. And this is practical advice for finding joy in every day. So I do struggle with my mental health and I just kind of wanted to start reading books with this kind of topic and about mental health and finding happiness and things, just so that if I'm having a bad day I can go to these books and maybe they'll try and lift up my mood a little bit. And this one's not too long. I think a lot of the pages, it looks like, are just quotes. So I think this is going to be the kind of book that I'm just going to pick up if I'm feeling a bit down and need a bit of motivation that I can just read a couple of pages from, and it was only £2, so I thought I'd pick that one up. And then the final one that I picked up from the Works is Fairest of Them All, which is a Disney Twisted Tale. Again, this one was only £2. I have 3 other Twisted Tales. I have only read one and I'm pretty sure I don't own this one, but if I do, it was only £2. But this one is really thin compared to the other ones. So this is the Twisted Tale of Snow White. I can see on my shelf now, the other ones I've got are As Old as Time, What Once Was Mine and Once Upon a Dream. So yeah, I don't have this one, which is good. And I want to collect all of the Disney Twisted Tales, so for £2, pick that up quick. Then the rest of the books I purchased were from the charity shops. So it was a Sunday when we went yesterday, and not all of them are open. The place I went to has got tons of charity shops, and that's usually where I tend to buy most of my books from. So that's why I bought a book in pretty much every shop I went in, because not all of the shops I go in usually were open. Then this is my stack of charity shop books. So the first one I have here is Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. I've heard a lot about this book. I think it's been made into a TV show. I don't know if that's just in the US or if it's in the UK, but I wanted to watch that show when it's released, and I'm a huge fan of The Vampire Diaries, and The Vampire Diaries has kind of got me into wanting to read more vampire themed books. And my best friend and I have a little book club together, and I'm pretty sure we have a long list of books that we wanted to read, and I'm pretty sure this was on there. So I thought I'd pick it up whilst I saw it in the charity shop for £1.50, so that I have a copy of it in case this does ever become one of our picks for the month. And I believe this is the first book in the series, which is perfect. And then speaking of The Vampire Diaries, I picked up The Vampire Diaries. This is Stefan's Diary, Volume 6, The Compelled. Don't know if I've read this one before, because I tend to get my Vampire Diaries books out from the library. I have a few of the normal Vampire Diaries books, and they had a few of them in the charity shop yesterday, but I'm pretty sure I own all of the ones that they had, so I only picked up this one because I don't own any of the Stefan's Diary ones. But looking at the cover, I think I have read this one before, but doesn't matter. I will reread this one if I have read it already. But I absolutely love The Vampire Diaries, although it is the only thing that I say. Usually the book is better, but for The Vampire Diaries I find the show is better, and I'm currently rewatching it right now for like the third time I think, and I'm on season 5, so had to pick this one up. Then the third book I got in the charity shops is Beneath This Man by Jodie Ellen Malpass, and I haven't heard of this book, I don't think, but I've been watching a lot of different videos, and a lot of people have been talking about this author and saying that they really like her books, and I found a few of them on Vinted, but they were quite expensive, and this one was only £1. So although I've never heard of it, I'm pretty sure this is a hyped author. Looks like this is part of a This Man series, so this doesn't look like it's the first, so I'm hoping that this can be read as a standalone and not as part of the series. I don't know anything about this book other than I picked it up based on the author. We shall see. I think I'm going to have to look into this one on Goodreads to see if I can read this as a standalone or if I'm going to have to pick up the other books in the series. But we shall see. Then I picked up Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. This is a big book. I did not realise how big this book was until I saw it in person, and it was only £1.50. I recently read Shadow and Bone and really enjoyed it, so I wanted to get all of the other books in that series and world. So this one I believe is, you have to read Six of Crows first. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you have to read that one first before you can read this one. And I haven't read Six of Crows or own it, but I thought I would get this one just whilst I saw it because it was only £1.50. So I think I'm just going to have to put this one on my shelf for a while, because I think I'm going to have to read the rest of the series and books in this world before I get to this one. But I was excited to see this in the charity shop. Then I picked up Anarchy. This is by Megan DeVos. I have never heard or seen this book. The cover just kind of intrigued me, and I read the back and it just sounded like something that I would enjoy, and it's part of a series, so I always like trying out series, because if I enjoy this one it means I can pick up a load more books in the series. But this just says rival factions are fighting each other for survival with no loyalty to anyone but their own. At 21, Hayden has taken over Blackwing and is one of the youngest leaders in the area. In protecting his camp from starvation, raids and other factions, the threat of being kidnapped, he has enough to worry about before he finds Grace. The daughter of the head of the rival camp Greystone, Grace is slow to trust anyone, much less the leader of those she has been trained to kill. And then the final book I picked up is Untamed by PC and Kristen Cast. This is part of the House of Night series. When I was younger, I started reading the House of Night series and I absolutely loved the first book, and I never fully collected the entire series. If I saw one in a charity shop, I would pick one up, but I don't think I've ever actually read the complete series, and I think I might have actually given the books that I already had from this series to my friend. I moved 2 years ago and I had big sort out of my books, and any books that I thought my friend would enjoy I gave them to her, the one that I've started this book club with. But these are always in charity shops and I can't actually see any of these on my shelf, so I'm pretty sure I did give her all of these that I owned. I saw this and I thought I do actually kind of want to go back and reread this series. And I know I definitely never owned this one, and I don't think I've ever read this one. So even though I've not read this series in order, I think I've definitely read the very last book in this series. So I know what happens at the very end of this series, and I'm hoping this is making sense. But what I'm trying to say is I can just pick this up and it's not gonna not make sense, because I have read most of the books in this series to recollect this series. So I picked this one up. This one was £1.29. So I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for more of this series when I go back to the charity shop. So those were all of the books which I picked up. I am taking part in a readathon that's coming up next month. So at least now I have a load more books now that I can choose from to read for this readathon. I haven't yet set up my TBR, which is something that I'm actually going to try and do today. So that was kind of my reason as to why I could buy myself more books when I didn't need any. But thank you for watching this video, and if you've read any of these books, then please let me know what you thought of them and if any of these series are worth continuing with.